Was Christ fully human inside the womb? If you were a Christian, how on earth could you hold that position?
Yeah, they're completely untenable.
It doesn't make any sense. So we're going to watch another clip now, and this is a fascinating exchange that happens, I imagine, on the streets of London, is this? Between two gentlemen. Now, you told me who this was before, and I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, on the right. So that is Bob of Speaker's Corner. He has formerly gone by the name Bob the Builder. But I think as he's gone, as he said, built up a bit of a following, he's decided he needs to, have something that, well, it doesn't sound like, Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, Bob the Following Builder. He has built up a good one. So I don't really know who this guy is. Pete does. But he's having an exchange with this gentleman here. What we'll do is we'll watch the whole exchange through, and then we will react to it. So here it is.
I'm absolutely in favour of women having the right to choose regarding their bodies. I'm fully supportive of that.
Would you agree that that is killing a human being?
I do not think that is killing a human being as long as it is in compliance with what medical professionals recommend. As a representative of the Diocese of London elected to General Synod, I am fully in favour of women having the right to choose regarding their own bodies. I entirely support that, and that is a view shared by many of my colleagues on.
So back to the question of, do you believe that Christ was fully human inside the womb? Now you see why I asked the question. You see, if you say that inside the womb after conception we're not talking about human beings, then that means you deny that Christ was fully human inside the womb, which means that you've fallen into a heresy because you're in denial of Christ's full humanity. If you try to imply that Christ became human at some point inside the point of conception, or that his divinity attached himself to some kind of humanity later, that moves towards Nestorian heresy.
So, I think it's fair to say the reason this went viral is that absolutely stunning, quite comical, deathly silence.
Yeah.
When he asks that very straightforward question. There's an obvious reason for the silence. Now, before we get fully into analysing this, first of all, what I like about this is that it's a respectful exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So letting each other talk. It's an on-the-street conversation, and this chap is engaging in good faith, right?
Yeah.
So, fine. But the flaws in the argument are so easily exposed here that deathly silence should tell you everything you need to know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just, this guy fits right in with, the Church of England.
Sadly, true.
Yeah. I mean, we could see it coming a mile off, right? We know exactly where Bob's trying to get.
Yeah.
And but the fact that he can't see it, the fact that he's clearly never been challenged on this.
Well, that's right.
Never been presented with this argument, and it's like, how are you, a minister in the church? You've got this position. You're clearly not ashamed of it, and yet no one's shown you before how flimsy it is.
So how can you come to such a, I imagine, morally complicated view without ever having considered that question? The fact that he doesn't have an answer ready to that question just tells you everything. Now, look, people get caught flat-footed in arguments. That it happens. It happens to people who are right. However, in this instance, the guy is caught so flat-footed because his whole base worldview of Christianity comes into absolute conflict with this position that he takes on. Now, we don't get into the ins and outs of what his position on is, how many weeks, when do you become a human, all that sort of stuff is not highlighted here. But He's understood it enough to be challenged and instantly know, if I say at any point Christ was not fully human in the womb, this conflict is not resolvable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's go through it again step by step.
Absolutely in favour of women having the right to choose.
So again, and we've gone through this in our previous episodes, 2 men, 2 men. 4 men having a discussion about abortion. Usually that's not allowed. But again, we seem to have found another clip where a man who has a correct opinion about abortion is allowed to talk about abortion. If you don't have the correct view, you're not allowed.
Absolutely not.
My, no uterus, no opinion is only applicable to the people who have the wrong opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
classic. But anyway, this gentleman, because he has the correct opinion, feels confident to elucidate it.
Well, but I think he can already see something that he's being very, very careful about his words, isn't he? He's like, he almost doesn't really know quite what the right is, the right to choose.
Which, of course, is the euphemistic word for a very nasty, nasty thing. Let's carry on.
Regarding their bodies, I'm fully supportive of that.
Would you agree that that is killing a human being?
I do not think that is killing a human.
Do you agree it's killing a human being? I do not agree it's killing a human being. Okay. Again, they don't get into this, but what is happening then?
Exactly. Yeah.
Human being, as long as it is in compliance with what medical professionals recommend.
Follow the science.
Follow the science, trust the science. So again, we have this classic, and he's obviously in the Church of England, we have this classic appeal to authority. Well, if a medical professional says this, then that's what I will support. Now, I doubt he takes that position on everything. I imagine he, as most people do, will pick and choose when they're happy to go to that moral authority as the scientists or the experts.
Yeah. But again, it's just so obvious. But and we touched on this before as we were talking about exegesis and eisegesis. We can see what's going on here because his appeal is to the medical experts following the science, and that's what he's bringing to the table. In that's how he's approaching this entire topic, or at least from what he said.
As a representative of the Diocese of London elected to General Synod, I am fully in favour of women having the right to choose.
So he actually says this it's an interesting way he put that. He's saying, as the elected representative of General Synod. For those of you who don't know what General Synod is, it is a very, very Church of England thing. It's almost like a sort of, for want of a better term, it's like a parliament where representatives are sent. They discuss the big issues. They will make decisions on certain things. As far as I remember, I was raised in the Church of England. As far as I remember, there's sort of local synods and then general synods.
Okay.
But it is that sort of larger decision-making bodies. And they will make decisions not just on practical things, but on moral issues. He's saying, as a representative of the Diocese of London appointed to General Synod, I believe in a woman's right to choose.
Alarming. Yeah.
So is that the position of the Diocese of London? Is that the position of the Church of England? We know that the new Archbishop...
Well, it's certainly her position. Yeah.
It shows you how far the Church of England has fallen. I would like to say the Church of England is increasingly irrelevant, which to some extent is true, but can never be fully irrelevant as the established church in England. So the fact that he can say this as a representative of a diocese so confidently is, as you say, alarming. But here comes the bomb.
Regarding their own bodies, I entirely support that, and that's a view shared by many of my colleagues on.
So back to the.
Well, there we go. That's the final thing. That's a view shared by many of my colleagues. And the worrying thing about that is I don't doubt that.
No, not at all. Not at all. well, I've forgotten her name now, but the new Archbishop.
Sarah Mullally.
That's right. She has said, although she would never have she supports women's right to one. So I mean, if the Archbishop believes that, then clearly a huge number of people do.
So if it's not the official position of the church yet, we know it will be soon.
The question of, do you believe that Christ was fully human inside the womb?
You'll see he opened his mouth twice there.
Yeah, just couldn't get anything out.
But the word wouldn't come out, to quote Eminem.
He's probably still trying to figure out how to respond to it.
I wonder whether the cogs have continued to turn ever since he gave this interview.
Yeah. But, it's watching a man's entire worldview, just crumble in one moment. Just after being posed with one question.
It's like the important meets the vacuous. And the car crash is so horrendous, you can't look away.
Yeah.
To watch that guy's face. Let's watch it again.
Inside the womb.
Opens his mouth again, closes his mouth.
Now you see why I asked the question.
How many times does he open his mouth and the words just don't come out? Was Christ fully human inside the womb? How can a Christian answer that in any other way than yes, and therefore, what difference? Joe Rogan earlier, we heard talking about Jesus as the ultimate model for humanity. Well, if Jesus is the ultimate model of humanity and he was fully human inside the womb, not even given an amount of weeks, not said, was he fully human at 20 weeks? Was he fully human at 9 months? Was he fully human at 6 weeks? Was he fully human inside the womb? Jesus was conceived not by man, but by the Holy Spirit.
And I understand that for non-Christians, this argument isn't going to do much.
Yes, this is very much a Christian argument.
Yeah.
An inter-Christian view. Yeah.
But a professing Christian has absolutely no place in having his position.
Nope. Because
you just do not have a Christianity without it. Like, it is of supreme relevance that Jesus Christ came into this world, not just rocking up as a 33-year-old, but that he validated the worth of human beings at every stage of development up until the point he died, right? And even in death, and that's all the way, every stage of development in the womb. And for a Christian to not see that is of some relevance to the issue of child sacrifice, it's just incredible. But it really shows you like what a horrendous job we've done in the church at discipling people. We've just touched on it a little bit before with Joe Rogan and the type of church he's going to, but so many people have just not been presented with a robust biblical defense of life in the womb in the churches.
Well, certainly not in the Church of England.
Absolutely not.
How can a representative of the Diocese of London, a clearly intelligent man, by the way, but he's eloquent, he can speak, he would not get to that position without some level of intelligence, and yet he has an absurd position on this issue. From a Christian point of view, again, we're talking purely from a Christian point of view here, that is absurd. And I would invite our atheist viewers to just consider, if you were a Christian, how on earth could you hold that position?
Yeah, they're completely untenable.
It doesn't make any sense. What about the baby in Elizabeth's womb?
Yeah.
What about John? who leaps for joy.
Right, like the first human being who actually acknowledges,
Yeah.
I think really, who actually acknowledges Christ, and he's doing that in the womb as a fetus himself. It's just, it's amazing.
As a clump of cells.
Yeah. Somersaulting in the womb.
Acknowledging the coming into the world of the Saviour as a human person who has not been born yet, is a human person. Absurd.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like that, please do remember to give us a nice big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more episodes that are coming soon, please subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more coming your way.